Well, Forge FC had an incredible 2024 campaign in terms of the regular season. But when it came to when it mattered most, in the CPL playoffs, with the opportunity to manage the three-peat and to be crowned the Canadian Premier League champions, Forge FC fell at the final hurdle and where it mattered most, leaving Forge FC supporters with mixed feelings at the end of the season in terms of the offseason when reflecting on 2024. But Forge ultimately went out and won the regular season. There was a silver lining. They played some fantastic football, overcame adversity from a few huge transfers and departures that left the club. And this side proved how good their squad truly is in terms of depth and how good Bobby Smirniotis is as a manager. Winning the 2024 regular season is incredible, and they did it in a very good fashion. And it was the first time they've done it since 2021, which I find truly surprising with the stranglehold they've had at the CPL playoffs and managing to do it back to back. You would have expected them to win more regular season titles, but this was the first time they've done it since 2021, and arguably in the year where they fought the most adversity, losing players like Tristan Henry, such as Kawasi Poko through the season. They were big departures. But Bobby Smirniotis had the squad, had the team, and had the infrastructure to be able to manufacture a side to still go out and win the regular season title in 2024. But like I said, when it mattered most, they fell at the final hurdle to a very good Calgary Cavalry side. And they lost in their first game of the playoffs to Cavalry at home from a Tobias Warchewski goal in the 27th minute to lose 1-0. And from there, Forge went on to battle through the playoff gauntlet and find themselves in the Canadian Premier League final. The final and the opportunity to do the three-peat, to be the first team to go back to back to back and to be crowned the Canadian Premier League champions and the first team ever to do the three-peat, and to truly have that stranglehold at the top of the Canadian Premier League as they headed out to Calgary, to Spruce Meadows, to a gauntlet, to a cauldron against Calgary, and they couldn't get the job done. Falling 2-1 eventually to the Canadian Premier League champions in 2024 to Cavalry FC, as they lost 2-1 on their day to a penalty from Tobias Warchewski in the 32nd minute and a Sergio Camargo goal in the 38th minute. And yes, Forge got their goal back from Janssen in the 52nd minute, but it just wasn't enough. Cavalry had an incredible first half and deserved the victory. But Forge still had a good game, and ultimately a very good season. When reflecting on it, yes, the most recent memory is them losing in the final, and I understand that from Forge supporters. But looking back on that 2024 season, it's still positive. It's still exciting. You still earned the regular season title and overcame a lot of adversity, losing an incredible goalkeeper in Tristan Henry, as well as the best player in the Canadian Premier League last season, in my opinion, in Kawasi Poku, has so much talent, so much ability, and is why he earned that transfer to Europe. And the fact Bobby Smirniotis showed he had the depth in his squad to overcome everything just shows how good of a manager Forge FC has and how good of a squad and team building this side truly does. But when you move on to the offseason, Forge had a huge offseason ahead of them that they had to prepare for. And they have absolutely nailed it on the head and smashed it out of the park. And it's been a grand slam of an offseason for Forge FC. Because when you look at what this squad could have turned out to be, they have nailed it. They have brought in improvement all over the pitch. They've brought in CPL veteranship and leadership, as well as younger quality and talent and proven CPL ability. When you look at their biggest signings and their most important signings, there's 4 of them that I truly believe will be great players for Forge and will help transform them and elevate them this season. Of course, you have Daniel Nimick coming over from HFX Wanderers in a big transfer. The young 24-year-old Canadian defender leaves HFX Wanderers as probably one of their best players and now joins Forge FC, the side who has a stranglehold on the CPL alongside Cavalry. And then Forge decided to go and raid another side within Ontario in York United. And didn't just raid them, they took their 2 best players in Mo Babuli and Brian Wright. Truly an incredible double take from Forge to swoop into York and take two brilliant number nines in Brian Wright and Mo Babuli, and it's going to help Forge incredibly this season. Players who are 29 and 31 years old, two players who are at the height of their football career, two players who have done it in the CPL for many years and are proven goal scorers at this level. And another player who's a sneaky signing, who I think is a very good addition to Forge FC, is Ben Payton. And this is a very exciting signing, as he of course comes from Scotland, a 24-year-old Canadian, brother of Harry Payton, who still plays out in Scotland. It's a very sneaky signing, but a very good signing. A Canadian who understands it hasn't been going right for him in Europe and has come to play for the side who builds their team the best in the Canadian Premier League, in my opinion, in Forge FC, around the best manager in the league, arguably. And he's come to a very good squad with a great squad building. And it's very good signings from Forge FC, and arguably maybe the best offseason in terms of the Canadian Premier League. But when you look at their departures, it's nothing substantial. Yes, they lost Kawasi Poku throughout the season, but brought in a substantial amount of money for 500,000 euros. When you look at other players they've lost, the main one was at the start of last season when they had to battle adversity, debate on who the starting goalkeeper was. Battle through all of that topic was Tristan Henry, one of the best goalkeepers in the league at that time, left them for the USL, and now they've recovered brilliantly. And of course, Daniel Parra, his loan has ended, and yes, they've also lost Jordan Hamilton, but they have managed to recover absolutely brilliantly by signing Mo Babuli and Brian Wright. And it's a great piece of business and very exciting offseason from Forge FC. When you look at this squad, it is filtered with younger Canadian talent hitting their prime, as well as veteran CPL experienced players who are very proven at the highest level. It's been very good squad building from Forge FC in this offseason, as well as throughout the past year or so, to get to this point of a extremely good squad. When you look at this team, you have a great young Canadian goalkeeper who's only 23, and Christopher Colongo, who came into the headlines after Tristan Henry left and managed to rise up. Great depth at the back line, very exciting players with Nimick, Janssen, Olabi Belawu. And when you look at the midfield, probably, if not the best one in the Canadian Premier League, Alessandro Hojabrapor, the likes of Noah Jensen, Kyle Becker, a true leader, Cisse, Ben Payton, who can play in there, David Chouanier. It is a phenomenal team with loads of talent littered throughout it. When you're looking at my standout player and who I believe will be the most important player for Forge FC in this 2025 CPL season, it could be a lot of them. It truly could be. But for me, it's going to be the player they took from York United, a star of the Canadian Premier League. And I'm going to say it's going to be Mo Babuli, a player I absolutely loved on York United, a player who I think is a great, fantastic striker and attacker, the 32-year-old Canadian in Mo Babuli, who I think is a true CPL leader. And I think he's just going to lead the line very well. And between him and Brian Wright, both of them could be my breakout players. You could take most players on this Forge FC side as breakout players, standout players, or their MVPs of the year. And it could be either one of those number 9s. But for me, it's going to be Mo Babuli. I really like what he brings to the table. I think he's a great goal scorer, a great creator, and he'll bring that extra level for Forge FC this season to elevate them a step up. And if you want to look at young, talented players, you could look at the likes of breakout stars, but he is already broken out, and a player that just excites me so much is Malik Olabi Belawu, a 22-year-old Canadian who I expect after this season to be attracting so much European attention and to be someone just like Kawasi Poku who makes his jump into European football. But on to predictions, guys. After my standout players, Mo Babuli, my season prediction for Forge FC is they won't retain their regular season title. I think they'll fall again. I don't think they're going to win it, but I think they will come second. This squad is incredible. Like I said, filtered with talent throughout and experience, but I don't think they're as good as another side in the Canadian Premier League, and we will get to them throughout my CPL previews. But I think Forge will finish second. They have the quality, they have the ability, And I think it's between the two teams at the top, and I just don't think they'll have the strength later on in the season, or they might just lose out in the head-to-heads between the other team who I have finishing first, and it'll be a battle for first spot. I think it'll be extremely close, but I think they'll just get outbeaten by their counterparts in the league, and personally who I think has the best manager in the league. Because last season it finished Forge on 50 points, Cavalry on 48. It was a very tight finish, and it'll be very interesting to see who takes first place in 2025. But my personal opinion is, and my personal prediction is, out of the 8-team league, I have Forge finishing in second place in the 2025 CPL season with Mo Babuli as my standout star for Forge FC. Guys, let me know what you think down below. We're going to be doing CPL previews for every single team in the league leading up to opening day. It's a very exciting time for the Canadian Premier League. I'm going to try and keep the Canadian Premier League channel content as well. Let me know your thoughts on the CPL previews as well as Forge FC season for the upcoming year and how you think their squad looks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, smash the sub button as well for the Canavan T content, the CPL content, and everything involving Canadian soccer. And I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.